Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights into Entertainment. This is episode 136, The Return of Disney Wars and Franchise Favorites. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my warm and caring co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing today, dear?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm freaking awesome. How was your week this week?
It's,
almost over.
Thank God.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
So, anything exciting happened this week? Nothing to recap? Nothing like that?
End of the month, beginning of the month, Groundhog Day, he saw his shadow, 6 more weeks of winter, but it's 50 degrees out and the snow is melting.
Right.
There's your weekly recap. Done.
And until tomorrow when it drops to like 30 degrees again.
Yeah, and freezes. So, yeah.
So.
Yay, Jersey.
So, this week in our Disney Detective, we'll be talking about Abigail Disney firing a shot across Bob Chapek's bow.
Pew, pew.
While Disney reveals their Avenging expansion in Paris. Then in our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy, the Golden One returns to the franchise, and the Galactic Star Cruiser itinerary is finally revealed to be incredibly lackluster. And in our entertainment news, Iger on movies, plus walking out on The Masked Singer. And then we'll finish up with a few insightful picks of the week and a few afterthoughts this week. A new one you just found, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. We've never been to this one.
Nope.
It's the first year for that one?
I don't think so. I think it said
God.
6 years or something. I don't know.
Might be a jewel that we weren't aware of before.
Right.
Before we get into all that, I would invite our listening and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast. You can get audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Entertainment. Video versions of all the network's podcasts can be found listed as Insights into Things. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast. I would also invite you to write in, give us your feedback, tell us how we're doing, give us your picks for some conventions that we can plug for you. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can hit us on Twitter at insights_things. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast. We're also on Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings, where you can find links to all these and more on our official website at insightsintothings.com. Ready to get going?
Sure.
Here we go. Go for Disney Detective.
So Disney heiress, daughter of Roy E. Disney and granddaughter of Roy O. Disney, Abigail Disney, has been a fervent supporter and advocate for workers' rights. So the other night, January 24th, Abigail Disney expanded on her thoughts about the legacy of Disney and the current Bob Chapek era following a screening of her documentary, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, at Sundance Film Festival. Synonymous with joy, love, and happiness, the Walt Disney Company have aimed to deliver their magic for the past century. From Star Wars to Splash Mountain, Avengers Campus to Animal Kingdom, Disney is one of the biggest entertainment enterprises worldwide. As Disney hurtles towards its centennial, the few past years have been tarred by multiple call-outs of the Mouse House, stemmed from cast member working conditions, profits over guest experience, and the running and development of Disney brand, notably the theme parks provision of its corporation. Disney has never been exempt from criticism, but ever since the arrival of Bob Chapek as Disney CEO, following the departure of Bob Iger, guests and reportedly cast members too have been critical of the corporation. Whew. So, from a Disney parks perspective, fans have seen the arrival of the controversial Disney Genie Plus system and the individual Lightning Lane selection, following the end of the free FastPass Plus system, while call-outs have been made for the overall caretaking of the parks, such as Central Florida's Walt Disney World Resort, and anger at cast member pay. Abigail Disney's documentary, The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales, examines workers at the U.S. domestic parks, Disneyland Resort, and Walt Disney World. The documentary director and philanthropist recently spoke to The Hollywood Reporter prior to her movie's debut at Sundance, and she said, in part, Bob Chapek was the guy who presided over all of the changes at Disneyland and Disney World that we're talking about in this film. Excuse me. Dynamic scheduling, a euphemism for jerking them around so that they can't get a second job and they can never make 40 hours a week and they don't qualify for health care. She continued, taking a department from 250, shaving it to 200, and expecting them to all do the same work in the same amount of time. There are a thousand ways that they've been cost-cutting, and much of it came from Bob Chapek and under his command. So I don't really have very optimistic expectations. If anything, it'll probably get worse. Now, following the premiere of her documentary, the heiress expanded on her remarks during a live Q&A. She offered her sentiments focusing on a consumer-based push to take charge of corporations that do not treat their workers well. She had said, this is an Amazon problem, and a Walmart problem, and a McDonald's problem. You do have the ultimate power, more power than any CEO, as a consumer to withhold your money from companies that are doing it wrong and spend it at companies that are doing it right. Roy O. Disney co-produced the documentary, which follows the lives of theme park workers and their journey into activism. Abigail Disney also said that the company was just as abusive and exploitive of their customers as they have been of their cast members, adding that Disney has been driving prices up to ridiculous levels and charging unbelievable amounts for hamburgers and so forth, and stripping service away. Recently, during the Disney earnings call, CFO Christine McCarthy stated that portion sizes would be reduced. The news was later supplemented by multiple sources confirming that along with the portion reduction, the price of food and drinks had been increased. So just last week, it was reported that Bob Chapek took away an incredible salary during what can only be described as one of the most troubling times in Disney park history, pandemic and all. It is not too long ago that the Walt Disney Company had laid off hundreds of workers to cope with the results of a COVID world. The report also adds that we'll hold your money from the companies that are exploiting people, she said. You don't really need to take a trip if you feel like it's not a reflection of your values. I think I think there's a natural affinity between customers and workers, and they need to make common cause together to change companies, she said. Abigail Disney is not the only one to comment on Disney's recent practices. Currently, a petition has gone viral, which obviously calls Bob Chapek to be fired as Disney's CEO. The petition was reportedly co-signed by many Disney park cast members and fans as well.
And this doesn't surprise me one little bit at all.
Nope. We've
been discussing this for months and months now.
Almost a year, really, easily, when you think about it. You know?
Yeah. And, to find out that they're going to go even further with reducing portion sizes and increasing costs.
Well, I had known about the price increase because that we even talked about a couple of weeks ago. There was a couple of different reports of guests that had said, oh, this was like 25 cents more. This is 50 cents more. This is $1 more. But I had never heard anything about the portion sizes going down with it as well. So now it's like, why even, obviously, okay, if you really want to go, but don't spend money on food because you're going to be paying, 20% more and getting 30% less for your money.
And it's difficult to go down there and go to a Disney park and not spend money on food.
Yeah.
They make it exceedingly difficult.
Right.
But, it's good to see that Abigail Disney's still fighting that good fight. She's
still fighting the fight. Don't give them your money.
She really doesn't like Disney at this point.
And you gotta feel for somebody where, this is your family. This is your legacy.
It's your family name, and they're sullying your family name.
And we're and I'm sure, she still gets something,
Well, I'm sure she still owns a significant amount of Disney stock, and she's getting dividends from it.
Right. So to say, don't go and spend your money here, that's affecting her as well.
It's funny how it seems as though her biggest beef is with the theme parks, though. She hasn't seemed to have chimed in much as far as the other.
Well, because probably,
avenues.
I guess, with the movies and things like that.
Well, you look at all the stores they just shut down and all the people they put out of work. She never chimed in on that.
Yeah, she didn't. And maybe that's... And I don't know how the divisions are.
Right, but if you're going to be a champion of the workers, you have to say something about them laying off that many people by shutting down those stores just, out of the blue.
Right.
Which, again, is another thing where that was a lot of people can't get to Disney.
Right. So
and that was an extension of Disney. That was their ability to go, and like I don't. Maybe they're relying so much on their e-commerce side of things with that, but the Disney store was an experience.
Right. It wasn't like just going to Walmart or Target or something. Yes, it was an experience, and especially when they had those little added monthly, bi-monthly events. It was kind of like, okay, well, I can't do Halloween in the park. That was almost
like your Disney Goodwill ambassadors around the world, bringing
really
that little bit of magic, and you just decided to stop doing that for no good reason.
Well, and I think again, a lot of it's the e-commerce side of things. You have a lot of
and you can sell through that, but you can't bring that experience through that.
Right, exactly. No, I know.
Anyway. So what's Disney doing? Disney's doing something in Paris, right? What are they doing out there?
So here's some positive Disney news. So Disney just gave us some serious, exciting information about one of its upcoming expansions within the Disney parks. So obviously we know a lot of things are coming to the Disney resorts. So we have the Tron coaster at the Magic Kingdom, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind in Epcot, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, in Disneyland in Southern California, and now internationally, some guests in Disneyland Paris are going to see the Avengers campus expansion. So the first version of the Marvel-centric land opened in Disneyland's California Adventure last year and features a whole host of Marvel-themed attractions and entertainment. And recently, Disney revealed that some very exciting visuals for this new land, which are now going to be coming to Disneyland Paris. So in the photo, they have a brand new Iron Man coaster vehicle that they show. And the ride will replace Disneyland Paris's version of the Rock and Roller Coaster. While there is not an exact opening date for Avengers Campus at Disneyland Paris, guests should be excited after seeing this new art, as well as all of the available things that will be coming to Disney's Avengers campus in Anaheim. So the Disneyland Paris will be themed completely around the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will feature countless Marvel characters like Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Loki, Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain America, Hawkeye, and countless others. They had recently covered that more progress was being made on the Paris, and now more stuff to look forward to if you're in that area.
Which I think is... I should turn my mic back on.
Probably.
Right?
Probably a good idea.
I think it's cool that they're bringing it to different locations. It's a shame that they're not bringing it to Florida, though.
I know.
Florida is the one area that you've got a surplus of real estate.
Right.
And you get your biggest crowds in Florida, too.
Right.
So I don't know why they're holding off on doing it in Florida.
I'm guessing probably within a couple of years you'll probably see.
See, I think what
pop
they
up
need
there,
to
too.
do is they need to come out with like their Adventureland park and break off Star Wars and Marvel.
I can see that.
You know, all the action movies, break that off into their own park.
And
there.
really, that could be what Hollywood Studios becomes.
Yeah.
That's really...
And that's really what it's going towards.
Right, because you have Star Wars, because that's, because you have Star Wars, you have Galaxy's Edge in California, and it doesn't really go, but it goes. But then, in Florida, it makes sense where...
Well, the problem is they're spreading it out over multiple parks, though, because they're putting the Guardians of the Galaxy...
Right, that's weird that that's in
Epcot.
Epcot. Like, that should have also been... But, I don't know.
Then nobody would go to Epcot. They'd all go to Studios, which is nice, because Studios has been neglected for a long time.
Right, it's nice that Studios is finally getting, it's well-deserved,
Exactly.
thing, so, yeah.
So anyway, but we're not getting any of that stuff in Florida, so we're going to have to book the European trip and go to Paris after it's done.
Well, maybe if it's done by next year, then we can go for my birthday.
Maybe we could. Happy birthday, you're old.
That was mean.
Well, it's a major accomplishment, so we're going to go to Europe for it. Everything's old in Europe, right? It's the old country.
Then I'm really young compared to...
There you go. See, that's to make you feel better.
Thing. I'm young compared to how old things are over there. Great.
There you go. That's what I was going for. See,
nice
good save there.
Nice one.
Well, that's all we had for our Disney Detective. We'll be back in a minute with our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. This week in our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy, a Star Wars original trilogy actor is officially filming his franchise return. Inside the Magic tells us that Anthony Daniels' beloved protocol droid, C-3PO, has been a fan favorite Star Wars character for 4 decades, ever since he first appeared in George Lucas's Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, alongside Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo. Built by Anakin Skywalker, he best friends with R2-D2 and the bane of Han Solo's existence, and ultimately savior of the Resistance in the sequel trilogy's Episode 9: Rise of Skywalker. 3PO is as iconic as they come. Now Daniels is seemingly officially reprising his role for a new Star Wars project, according to Star Wars Newsnet Twitter post. While the article accompanying the post indicates that Daniels is working on a droid story, which is reportedly set to be an animated series featuring a new Star Wars hero guided by R2-D2 and C-3PO, it's also possible that he could be working on scenes for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Online reports have indicated that C-3PO and fellow droid R2-D2 will appear in the show set approximately a decade after the prequel trilogy's conclusion, Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith. Both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are reprising their roles in the Deborah Chow-directed Disney Plus original series. Whether Daniels is assisting animators for a droid story or secretly working on Obi-Wan Kenobi, the fact remains that the actor seems to be making his official return to the Star Wars franchise, and that's something all Star Wars fans can get excited about. If you're a 3PO fan. Are you a 3PO fan?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was more of an R2 fan.
I don't think,
I didn't dislike 3PO.
Right.
He was just a little too uppity for me.
Right. But it's nice that, the two of them have been in all of the movies. They've, kind of made their way. They're that, constant stream, that kind of connects everything.
Lucas had even described the fact that their purpose in the movies really was to kind of be the narrators, the pulse of the audience, to give you that audience perspective on things.
Right. And you know what? It's amazing that after 40 plus years, he can still get into...
Yeah, well, he doesn't always get into it now, though, because,
right.
Sometimes it's animated and sometimes it's...
Right, but the fact that, it's such a fitted costume, it's not like, all right, well, I'm just going to lend my voice or, have it be somebody else. The fact that it's, for the most part, him still getting into it and that he's still so connected to it and so beloved, really.
And that's the thing,
part of it.
A lot of actors struggle with being typecast from a specific role, and this is one that he's embraced to the nth degree. Even when we saw he had narrated or hosted
Star Wars in
Concert, he embraced it for that. He had the golden, suit jacket. And,
right.
And he really, he is the character. It's difficult to separate the man from the machine in this case.
Yeah.
So to have him come back, because we got R2 back in Mando, the season finale of Mando.
Yep.
So we definitely,
the droids are, alive and well in that universe.
Exactly. So it is nice to see a return. Also, this week we have an article about the Galactic Star Star Cruiser.
How do you really feel about it? That's
So, hey, what can I say? I'm honest, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So guests aboard the Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon will use their data pad, part of the Disney Parks app.
Say that 5 times fast.
Wow, that was tough.
Can't even say it once.
They'll be doing it for many things, but they'll also be managing the itinerary, which is now available. Guests scheduled to depart on select March dates can now view the itinerary, a map of the ship, and more. The new Events tab on the left features Star Cruiser information. As we have not yet boarded the Halcyon, not all features are available, though. Unscheduled activities show up in blue and may be automatically scheduled 30 days prior to your arrival. Check-in is scheduled from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., during which time a lunch buffet is served. Overlapping with the buffet is time to explore the Star Cruiser, a data pad orientation, and the Galactic Social. Much like actual cruises, a ship muster takes place that afternoon, followed by a captain's reception. Dinner is served that evening in the Crown of Corellia dining room, featuring a performance from Gaia. An evening of games is on the schedule for the first day, from Sabak lessons to a Star Cruiser exclusive game called Sector Set. A special Chandrila Starline Star Show will take place as the Halcyon nears Bespin. That almost makes me think of the water pageant, almost.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That type of thing.
There's going to be a special little show that flies by. Yeah, yeah.
The next morning, guests can choose from a breakfast buffet or a grab-and-go breakfast before transport for a planetary excursion to Batu.
Damn Skippy, I'm having the breakfast buffet.
That's right,
I
grab
am
and
not
go.
doing grab and go unless I'm grabbing and going like 20 of them.
Right.
For what I paid. Yeah, sorry.
Droid racing, a Sabak tournament, model ship building, a Porg detection drill, and a You Know Your Co-Pilot game are all options for afternoon activities. Dinner service at the Crown of Corellia dining room, because they only have one restaurant, features a taste around the galaxy, followed by a Halcyon Star Cruiser celebration and sweets and treats in the late evening. On day 3, guests will be offered a choice of a breakfast buffet or a grab-and-go breakfast, followed by getting kicked off the ship. This 2-night adventure could be yours for the low, low price of only $6,000 for a family of 4. If I was unimpressed with what I saw so far as the room service and room sizes and all that, this itinerary leaves me even less impressed. They're going to teach me how to play Sabak. That's the interactive part of what they have here. This is pretty lame. It's the worst part is the more information they release, the lamer it gets.
And maybe it's also one of those things where, hey, here's this itinerary, but there's all this other stuff that's going on that's not part of.
You're such an optimist. You really are.
I'm trying here. I'm
There's not $6,000 worth. There's not $2,000 worth. I'd spend about $1,500 on what they're offering. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot for 2 nights.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, and that's the thing is, especially when you think about what an actual cruise that goes someplace.
Exactly.
What you can get for $6,000 and what you're getting here, it's laughable.
This is
really
a $6,000 LARP event is what this is. That's really
and I can go
is.
LARPing for a heck of a lot less than $6,000.
I know. We saw on Hawkeye that we can go LARP in the park.
Hawkeye, I'll come. Yeah, if Hawkeye would come.
That's right. That would be awesome. LARPing with freaking Hawkeye.
Like, for $6,000, I want like 3 Star Wars celebrities there.
Yeah, it should be Star Wars weekends.
Right. That's really
I should be walking out of there for $6,000 with like a full Stormtrooper set of armor on me when I walk out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should include building my lightsaber. It should include building my droid.
Right. No, I shouldn't have to pay for anything else because
it's $6,000 for 2 nights.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's asinine that they're even asking that.
I'd feel bad for the people. Feel bad, but I don't feel bad for people if it's something where after 6 months the price gets dropped dramatically.
Right.
And then I'd feel bad for those people that I want to be the first.
See, I wouldn't though, because the people that did it first are the stupid rich people.
Right, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I feel bad, but then again, I don't. Like, did you mortgage your kids to go, or do you just have that much money where $6,000 is nothing?
Right, it's like it's a drop in the bucket for
right.
you.
Like there's a friend of mine on Facebook who she happens to be going because a cast member got a free trip. So, and that's the other thing too, is how many of the first group of people that are going aren't paying for
and that's
it
the thing.
because
if
they're
you're going and you're paying for it, you're stupid enough to get ripped off.
Right.
I don't feel any ounce of sympathy for you whatsoever.
But I'm sure, there are so many people that have gotten press passes for
Sure,
it, and
yeah.
the cast members or won a trip.
And hey, you know
or,
what? If you can get it for free, get one over on Disney anytime you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that itinerary is a joke.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because again, now we're a month away, what it's actual. And then I think one of the articles that I saw showed some like behind the scenes photos, and they basically just have this box truck, and that's the transporter, so that when you get on it, I'm sure inside it's decked out where it looks like it's a transport ship, but on the outside it's just this white.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Truck.
I would not
so
be
it
surprised.
was just like, what's that? And they kind of figured, all right, that has to be, and that where the driver sits, you can't see the driver, so they're just in a regular bus driver uniform. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm just on a box truck. Like, I don't know. There's nothing that's enticing us to do it.
That sounds about what I'd expect. Because that's really all it is. It's a big, giant facade. Everything is a facade. There isn't anything legitimate behind any of this.
Right.
It's smoke and mirrors to steal your wallet. Mm-hmm. Hey, look at this really cool lightsaber over here while they're picking your pocket over here. That's all this is.
So...
Anyway, I'm sure we'll be reporting on actual guest stays and stuff like that as it opens up. So we will see. That's all we had for our Tales from the Edge of the Galaxy. We'll be back in a minute with our entertainment news of the week.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insightsintothings. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Go for entertainment news.
So this story comes from The Hollywood Reporter, and former Disney CEO Bob Iger, in his first interview since stepping away from the executive chairman of the company, discussed the fate of movie theaters, competing with Netflix, and yes, the metaverse, in a conversation with the New York Times' Kara Swisher. He says, "Because I'm not working for Disney, I'm liberated. I can say anything about anybody," he joked during the conversation, adding that he was reluctant to single anyone out. However, he did have frank thoughts on the fate of movie theaters, which he believes will be permanently altered by the pandemic and the rise of streaming services. He said, "I don't think it's the death of theatrical movies. I think it is severe injury that maybe doesn't heal, not fatal to some." He said that, adding that the consumers will be much more discerning about what movies they want to see out of the home. He said, "I think what you are going to see is far fewer films released for the big screen." Iger also addressed the rise of streaming and the push to get Disney into the space with Disney Plus. But he also discussed an epiphany that he had regarding Netflix, which at one point had the streaming rights to Disney films. He said, "They were helping to build the platform on the back of our movies. They deserve a lot of credit." He said, "I woke up one day and thought, we're basically selling nuclear weapons technology to a third world country, and now they're using it against us. So Iger and Disney took back those rights and sought to create a new war chest of IP. And when Rupert Murdoch called Iger and discussed selling Fox's entertainment assets, Iger knew that the deal would be necessary to be competitive in a streaming space. He said, "I was thinking at the time, knowing that we're going to launch Disney Plus and enter the streaming business, and if we had National Geographic and The Simpsons and Avatar and the whole library, that we would have a scale to compete." But he also expressed pessimism about big technology companies successfully competing with firms like Disney despite their significant investment in content. He said there's no question that deep-pocketed technology companies, Apple being a great example and Amazon being another, have figured out that if they have great intellectual property, if they can get great stories, it'll help their business. He goes, "I don't want to suggest that Apple or Amazon's entertainment divisions are loss leader businesses, but they are in those businesses for other reasons." But as the tech world shifts towards the next phase of the internet, which some are calling the metaverse, and what Iger calls Internet 3.0, he believes that Disney has a critical piece of the puzzle. He said to survive an Internet 3.0 world, you need to have some really compelling intellectual properties. I think that Internet 3.0 will definitely be a more compelling experience, certainly more immersive and dimensional. There will be a lot to think in terms of a future, call it a metaverse. I don't think there will be one metaverse, it'll be dispersive. You may have an avatar that you can go all over the place, and I think that it will likely to develop into something real as an experience. However, he acknowledges that the toxic culture on platforms like Twitter and Facebook could only become worse in the hypothetical future. He said, "I'm thinking about telling my kids that they should think about creating technology tools for modernizing behavior in Internet 3.0. Something Disney should think about as it talks about creating a metaverse themselves is monitoring behavior." As he discussed his final board retreat, where The Hollywood Reporter's Kim Masters reported that he implored those in attendance to not become too reliant on data. His successor, Bob Iger, has leaned on data for his decision-making through a memo earlier this month that talked about the storytelling experience. That was one of the stories we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and is that in a world of business that there's awash with data, and it is tempting to use data to answer all of your questions, including creative questions, but he urges everybody not to use it. Acknowledging the accuracy of the comments to Swisher, Iger expanded on those thoughts, saying that while it is useful to find out what people like about something after the fact, creative decisions still need to be made based on some level of instinct. If we had tried to mine all the data that we had at the time to determine whether we should make a superhero movie that was about an authentically Afro-futuristic world with a black cast, the data would have said not to do it, and Black Panther would have never been made.
And, he hits on a number of interesting insights here.
Mm-hmm.
But the one where he talks about Netflix taking their intellectual property as being selling to a third world country.
Right.
That was a conscious decision that Disney made because they saw dollar figures.
Right, because they
didn't have a platform to release it on. They were still releasing all their stuff selectively through their Disney Vault program on DVD.
Right.
And Netflix came and offered them a boatload of money. And
they
took it.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, you were selling nukes to a third world country because you were a bunch of money grubbing people that wanted the cash for it.
Right.
Had you taken a step back and been innovative
and decided to start something
and built something, waited 2 years, built out your own thing, and then put it out there, then you could have capitalized on all of it. Mm-hmm. But instead, they wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too.
Well, and also at the time, Netflix was, back in the day, you were actually getting DVDs in the mail.
That's true.
So that was probably, it was just at that point, probably Disney didn't want to deal with that part of it. But as Netflix, went to the streaming, that's when they realized,
his take on the metaverse, though, is funny because Meta just took a huge drop in stock, so much so that on paper, at least, Mark Zuckerberg lost about $20 billion when
poor thing.
the stock dropped based on their earnings, because for the first time in the company's history, they had fewer people. They had a decreasing number of people using it on a daily basis. I don't know if this vision of the metaverse is really going to fly. It sounds a little too much Ready Player One style.
Yeah.
Futuristic to me, that I don't see that really being the direction that things like Disney are going to go.
But look at WALL-E. Like, that's really where WALL-E kind of goes, like they put so much into a metaverse, really, so they kind of see where it's going, where they don't want to.
And I understand that. And the fact that we've made movies about the direction that we're going. We've made movies about, robots that turn on us and kill everyone too, and we're putting Hellfire missiles on drones.
Yeah, well,
So we don't always learn our lesson. I'll give you that.
No, yeah.
But his take on movies.
I was just going to say the movies, because we have been talking about that for years, and especially with the pandemic, and now you're making it easier for people that don't live near a movie theater, because there are people that have to travel an hour or 2 hours to get to a movie theater, and now you're giving them that experience. So now you're opening up.
Well, and the going to a movie theater has its own drawbacks. There's cost, there's convenience.
Right.
It got to the point where movie theaters started putting in the reclining chairs because that's what everyone had in their home theaters.
Right.
To try to compete with home theaters, which I thought was hilarious.
Right. But the thing is...
But people have home theaters at home.
Right.
You can watch a movie on a 70-inch, 75-inch 4K TV with... surround sound, and it's just like you're at the theater.
And you can start the movie whenever you want to.
And most importantly, you can watch an Avengers movie and pause it to go to the bathroom.
And not have to miss credits or any...
Right, and I can go get my own snacks. I'm not paying $10 for a soda, and I'm not getting marked up. So there's a lot of appeal outside of the pandemic for me to watch movies at home.
Absolutely.
And it's going to take a lot for me to go watch a movie. There's only a few movies that you really need to watch in a theater.
Right.
And those movies look really good at home right now with my TV and my surround sound and my comfortable chair. And so it's going to take a lot to incentivize me to go back into the movie theater.
Right, right.
So I think he's got a couple good points there.
And that was kind of why I put this in, because it was touching on so many different aspects that we've all been, talking about over, the past couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
And he's not a stupid man. He's got enough experience under his belt. He's a very intelligent individual, and he can recognize the mistakes that he's made and where he could have gone differently. And I have a respect for people that can recognize their mistakes and learn from them. Sadly, a lot of people can't.
Yeah.
Speaking of mistakes, let's talk about some drama that happened on The Masked Singer.
So, The Masked Singer judges Robin Thicke and Ken Jeong reportedly protested Rudy Giuliani's participation in the Fox competition series. So, according to Deadline, The Masked Singer judges walked off the Fox set in protest last week after Donald Trump's personal lawyer was unmasked. The outlet reported that their co-stars, Nicole Schwitziger and Jenny McCarthy, remained on stage to speak with the politician whose costume hasn't been revealed yet. Following a brief break, Thicke and Jeong allegedly returned to the set and spoke with Giuliani. The upcoming season of The Masked Singer is themed The Good, the Bad, and the Cuddly, with contestants' costumes centered around one of the three descriptors. After news broke of Giuliani's reported participation on the competition series, celebs took to social media to express their disdain. This is an incredibly disturbing stunt, 2.5 Men's John Cryer tweeted. Rudy Giuliani helped to engineer a coup attempt. The producers of the show should be ashamed, added Seth MacFarlane. Anything for ratings, right? In January, Giuliani was subpoenaed by the House committee investigating the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. According to NBC News, the committee says Giuliani is one of the individuals who publicly promoted unsupported claims about the 2020 election and participated in attempts to disrupt or delay the certification of election results. This isn't the first time that The Masked Singer has drawn backlash from their casting. In March of 2020, the show was criticized when former Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin was unmasked as the Bear.
Well, and
Stop doing that.
I really need to turn that mic on before I talk. I think they hit it on the head there. Anything for the ratings, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the show myself. I don't watch the show, but kudos to these two judges for standing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it other than it was a really bad taste and a stunt is what it was.
Yeah.
So that was all we had for our entertainment news this week.
Yep.
We'll be right back with our insightful picks of the week. Go for your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick is from Netflix, and it is Getting Curious with Jonathan Van Ness. So Jonathan Van Ness lets curiosity lead the way while roving from snacks to wigs in his podcast spin-off chock full of experts and special guests. The series is a spin-off from the Queer Eye Stars podcast of the same name, in which Van Ness quite literally gets curious about a topic and then speaks to various guests about it. So Van Ness is clearly a star. The former hairdresser made their name when the extremely fun Game of Thrones online recaps, and went on to become part of the Fab Five on the updated and much improved Queer Eye Makeover series, which is always good for a cathartic cry and a renewed sense of faith in humanity. Van Ness is one of the participants often who opens up to, usually while having their hair spritz. He's very amiable, warm, and an impressive interviewer, and gives you the impression of someone who genuinely wants to listen and learn. They are also excitable. All of this sets up for a host of all sorts magazine show. The show kind of reminds me also of the Jeff Goldblum, The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus, which is part of Nat Geo, where there's one topic and he kind of explores it. So Jonathan, he's just a joy to watch in general. But the shows, they kind of go all over the place, because the one episode was about bugs and kind of giving you a little history on bugs. And then one was on snack foods and sugar and why we like sugary foods. And then one, was on gender identity. So it went from, bugs to gender identity, which was a really deep conversation to have with different individuals and different guests and stuff. So again, reminded me very much of the Jeff Goldblum show. There's only, I think, 8 episodes in it. I've only watched like 4 of them. About half-hour little shows. But if you're a fan of Queer Eye, you probably love Jonathan. So this would be something, for you to watch. So.
All right, good pick.
Thank you.
So my pick this week is The Walking Dead Origins on AMC. The Walking Dead Origins is a limited series of specials in the Walking Dead TV universe, exploring the journeys of the series' most celebrated characters. Spotlighting Daryl, Carol, Maggie, and Negan, each episode of The Walking Dead Origins charts the story of the zombie apocalypse from the point of view of a single character and features new interviews and narrations from the actors that portray these iconic characters, interwoven with clips from the most pivotal moments of their journeys so far. Each episode will feature an exclusive sneak peek of Season 11 as well. Accompanying each special will be a best-of collection featuring fan-favorite episodes for each character. So the first one that we watched was the Daryl special, and it wasn't any groundbreaking new footage or anything like that of the character, but it was very interesting seeing the actor who portrays the character actually walking you through the life cycle of
the
this
evolution
character
of him, yeah,
and giving you insight to the emotions and the motivations and how they were feeling at a certain time and how the character has changed. Now, a lot of that stuff is stuff you pick up watching the show, but hearing it from the actual person who is the character was, I don't know, it was a very unique experience for me.
Yeah.
Typically, when you see actors do interviews, they don't refer to themselves as the character, but they kind of will talk about the character in a third person type of perspective. And this was almost like a psychoanalysis of the character.
It was very well done.
Yeah. It was very interesting. It was very insightful. And it was interesting the parts of the overall story that they picked to highlight the pivotal moments in the character's history. So we've watched one. We have two more to watch that are out, and then the Maggie one is the last one. But definitely enough to whet your appetite before it comes back, because it comes back this month.
End of February.
End of this month, so it's kind of nice to get you back into that swing of things.
Yeah, and it was interesting, especially with the Daryl one, for anybody that's been watching it for however many, so many years, is to see how his arc has totally shifted, because he was like this complete...
And to see how his hair has changed.
And see how young he was, and how, how he's aged. Even just looking at Negan in the flashbacks and stuff, and it was like, wow, everybody's really changed so much. So, some of it's makeup and some of it's, prosthetic.
And what's funny is, I got into Walking Dead very late. And I started watching, was it season 7 or whatever. And then I went back and I binge watched
everything from the beginning.
Everything from the beginning over the course of about 2 months.
Yeah.
Which was a lot. Especially the wandering season in the woods. That was terrible.
That was a bad year.
But it was interesting because I could see that character development over that short span, where I don't think I would have seen nearly that kind of conversion over that time.
And that was the thing, because for us watching this, we were watching it as two different, you were watching it as somebody that like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that. That all happened within, the 2 weeks that I watched it, where for me, that was like 3 years worth.
Right.
Where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, okay. Like stuff that I know happened, but I don't remember it as well as you do, because you're more recent.
Well, and that's what I see now watching it is, God, they really drag things out. Like, there's a story arc that takes an entire season that you could have got done in 2 episodes if you cut all the other wandering stuff out.
Right, where like you don't have the same sympathy because I had to go through a whole year and a half
like
to
I
get
would have
to that,
stopped watching this show if I had to do that.
Well, and that's the thing too, is there were a lot of people at certain points that gave up on the show, that were diehards from the beginning, and then certain things that happened.
If I had to go, and I think it was season 3 where it was the wandering one, if I had to go through that week to week and not have the story move at all, oh my God, I would have quit midway through that season and stopped watching it because it was agonizing.
Yeah.
The only way it made it even close to being bearable was that I got to get that entire season done inside of 1 week.
And then to know that you had a better season.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's what I was watching recently was Walking Dead Origins on AMC. So we'll be right back with our afterthoughts. So what do we have for afterthoughts, dear?
So, coming up the end of February, February 27th, is Nerdfest, which is part of Jersey Shore Comic Book Show. The event will take place at the Holiday Inn in Swedesboro, New Jersey, on February 27th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is $5. Kids 12 and under are free with a paying adult. There is free parking. They will be featuring artists, vendors, comics, anime, toys, Funkos, non-sports cards, crafts, Pokemon, cosplay, face painting, interactive activities, collectibles, and more.
Would more include a better website? Because their website is atrocious.
Yeah, their website is not.
This is... Oh,
yeah.
Come on,
But
guys.
the good thing is their vendors are already sold out. There's no... So that leads me to believe...
Well, good. Maybe if it's that successful, they can pay someone to do a decent website for them.
Well, maybe you can send them an email and say, hey...
Yeah.
They also have another one that we'll talk about probably in a couple of weeks. That's in April.
Okay.
So
What else?
yeah.
We got one more.
So then, of course, your favorite,
ZoloCon.
and that is March 5th and 6th. General admission on Saturday is $15 and $5 for children. On Sunday, general admission is $10 and children are free. See, I went back and updated that.
Clean that one up.
Yes.
Good job.
This one is held in Warminster, Pennsylvania, at one of probably our favorite locations for any event. Unfortunately, we've never gone to anything besides ZoloCon here.
It is the Fuse,
yes.
formerly Brewster Aviation, if you want to look that one up.
There you go. I knew you were going to be a good source of information for that one.
A historical nerd, yes.
Yes.
Well, I have an entire episode of Insights into History on it, so...
Right. Hey! Insights into history!
Yeah, I've written it. I have to produce them now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we had for today. Before we do go, I do want to bug you once again to subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe to audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Entertainment. Video versions of all of our podcasts can be found listed as Insights into Things. We're on Pandora, Castro, Stitcher, Podbean, Buzzsprout, Amazon, iHeartRadio, etc., etc. I never get to the whole list.
Yeah, I know.
I would also invite you to email us or reach out to us, give us your feedback, give us your own conventions you want us to plug. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com.
You can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/insights_things.
We're on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast.
We are on Twitch 5 days a week streaming at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
You can find us on Instagram at instagram.com/insightsintothings.
You can also find video versions of this podcast listed as podcast.insightsintothings.com.
And you can just go to our official website to find all of this information that we just went over at insightsintothings.com.
That's it. Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.